Alright, in this video we're going to get into parameters and something called activated state within our router. So what I mean by this is if we go to something like user/1, we want to be able to grab this parameter. And even if we had more than that, say we had /Brad and we wanted to grab the name like that, we want to be able to do that. So what I'm going to do is generate one more component here. So I'm going to open up my terminal. Let's clear this out. And then we're going to do ngg component, and this is going to go in the components folder, and then let's call this user, we'll say user details, like that. Alright, and that's going to create a bunch of files, the user-details.component. We have the TS, the HTML, the CSS, and what I want this to do is when we go to user/1, I want it to load up that user details component. Alright, now it's going to add it automatically to our app.module. You'll see right here, user details, and it also puts it in ng module. So let's create a route for this. So right here I'm going to put a comma, and we're going to do path, and let's say user, and we want that to load the component user details component. Okay. Now we also want, like I said, to go to / and then put an ID in there, so we have to specify that in our route. So it's going to be / and then :ID. Okay, the colon basically says that this is like a placeholder. Okay, it can be anything. So let's go ahead and save that, and then we're going to go. Let's see. Let's go up here and let's just load user/1. And you'll see it loads the user details component just as it should. But we need a way to get this parameter. So let's go into our component HTML, component TS file, which is right here, user details component TS. And we need to bring in some things up here. So let's say import, and we want to bring in router, and we want to bring in activated route and also params. Okay, and that's all going to come from the router. Now, since we're bringing these in, we need to actually inject them as dependencies. So we're going to go into the constructor parameters right here, and let's just go on a separate line, and we'll say private, and let's set route to activated route. Okay, then we'll put a comma there, and then we want private router set to router. Alright, now the way that we get our params is actually through subscribing to an observable. Alright, so this .route.params is going to give us an observable. So let's go into the constructor here, and let's do this .route.params, and then we're going to do a subscribe. Okay, and then in here, we're going to do an arrow function, and let's do params. Okay, and that'll have the type of params which we brought in, and then let's put an arrow here, and then in here let's do a console.log, and let's see what params gives us. So we'll go ahead and save that. Let's go over here and open up our console, and let's see, let's reload that. Okay, so this is what it gives us. It gives us an object with the parameters, and you'll see there's an ID, and the ID is 1. If I go to user/5, now we can get ID of 5. And usually what you would do is you take that ID, or you take like params.id, because if I save that, you'll see it's going to give us the actual 5, and you would run it through a service function to fetch some data, in this case a user with the ID of number 5. All right, but if you wanted to just stick that in the template, you could do that. Let's actually give this a property of ID, and we'll say number. And then down here we'll just do comment that out, and we'll say this.id equals params.id. All right, and then in the template, let's save that, and we'll go into our template, user details component HTML, and we'll say this is user, and then we'll just stick in ID. Save that. This is user 5, and if we do, let's say 52, this is user 52. So we can dynamically grab this and use it as we want. Okay, so that's how we can use parameters, and that's how we use the activated state, or I'm sorry, activated route.